Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. EA has finally come out and told all on the Bleed Esports drama over the last couple of months. This massively fraudulent, scandalous organisation. EA has given all the details and said that for many months in a row, players simply weren't getting paid, while the CEO was going to clubs and spending thousands, but yet the rents weren't getting paid on their apartments, and there were so many other problems as well. EA's finally decided to say, alright, you know what, I'm going to come out and say it, now that Bleed Esports and the C-suite have basically disappeared off the face of the earth. Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. And I'm excited to say that today's content is brought to you by Corsair. They dropped a banger keyboard recently, the K70 Pro TKL, with an 8000Hz hyperpolling rate via Axon, 8 times faster than your traditional keyboard, and Hall effect MGX V2 magnetic switches, which allows for your key presses to be instantly registered. These work via magnets, where as soon as you press the button down, it knows exactly how far you press the button, which means you can decide where the actuation point is, and you can choose this for every single key if you want to individually. The key thing to note though is this rapid trigger feature that you guys can see on the left hand side. This is what you want to be using if you're playing VALORANT, because if you're not, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. This is because as soon as you release the key, the magnet sensor knows that the key is starting to go back up again. Instead of having to hit the actuation point, it immediately deactivates the key. You can customize exactly where this is through the custom actuation, and also if the key hasn't come all the way back up again, you want to press it back down due to the dual actuation, you can do exactly that. So many great features of this keyboard. It's TKL form factor, it's got IQ integrated for all the colors that you want to mess around with as well. I've used Corsair keyboards personally for years and have been nothing but impressed. So I'd highly recommend looking at the K70 Pro TKL. Everything you'll need to know is in the bottom right hand corner of the video as time goes on. Hit the QR code or the link in the description box below if you guys are interested. First of all, we have some pretty mega matches and games to get into here. This is an amazing clip from yesterday that Mitch was talking an awful lot about. I just wanted to share this for you guys in full because spectacular stuff here on the Haven, and as always, it's absolute chaos from every person's perspective. But have a look at this play here, right? With, you know, the Marshall, Minimize comes through, gets the first kill, comes into the smoke, gets the second, knives the third to stop the defuse, and yeah, absolute scenes. This I thought was pretty interesting here from Ominous, right? So, well, my early VCT APAC 2025 tier list, based on what I've seen from tournaments and scrims alike. So what do you guys think about this in the comments section below? So, as we've talked about over the last few days, T1, I like that roster an awful lot. Paper Rex, we're going to discuss them in a second, because of course they got the win against DRX yesterday, but there's a bit more to say on that. And then Gen.G. Gen.G to me, I don't think they're quite going to be as good as they were last year. The loss of Meteor, I still like their new team. I don't think it's going to be quite as strong, but I like the Paper Rex roster, obviously. You know, they're very entertaining, if not anything else. And to be fair, with the Phoenix buff, you might argue that Jing could be in an even stronger position. And then that T1 team, I just find it very exciting indeed. DRX, maybe a step behind, but in the kind of ballpark. So, yeah, Ominous knows a thing or two about this region. This is his feeling based on tournaments, but also based on scrims that he's seen or heard of over the last couple of weeks. So DRX are kind of there. Then you've got the Sinprasa Gaming team that have now been kind of rebranded, right? But that's where they are. Then Boom Esports, apparently. So this is pretty mega for the APAC region if it's true that these teams that obviously qualified and came in, because Boom Esports was second in Ascension, Sinprasa Gaming were first. Boom Esports made it because Bleed Esports got kicked out of the entire league, which is still very entertaining, and we're going to discuss Bleed Esports as always over the coming minutes. Then DFM, then Global Esports, RRQ, then Zeta, Talon, and Team Secret apparently in their own category at the bottom tier here. So thought that was kind of interesting. But speaking of some of the teams in the region, we did get the Paper X win yesterday against DRX. The Pearl was another masterclass here from Paper X, and maybe no real surprises there. And as I said, you know, Jing on the Phoenix here, very impressive indeed. Still, the Abyss comp, I'm not going to lie. I mean, you know, DRX have gone for a relatively standard comp here on the other side, whereas Paper X have gone Reyna, Astra, Sky, Jet, and Omen. I mean, yeah, the Sky, it's an interesting composition they've gone for on the Abyss. I'm not sure it's the best one. They may either stop playing Abyss Paper X or simply decide to change their strategy in terms of what their composition is going to be, but they did close out the series very emphatically in the end on the Pearl, and obviously Jing on the Phoenix has become a point of some interest as well as of late. So yeah, intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Paper X got the dub. However, today we then got the big series, well, at least the series that's going to determine who's going to go to the grand finals, because DFM, they took down Trace Esports. So DFM, they're looking good. Obviously, we've talked about this team. according to Ominous, they're not going to be S tier or maybe even A tier, but they are going to be very solid, and they are proving on the big stage that they can certainly deliver as it stands. They took down Trace Esports. It was a 2-1 win. They lost the first game Ascent after just winning absolutely no attacking rounds after the first 4, so that was a frustrating collapse, but fair play to DFM because they bounced back. They went 13-8 on the Abyss and then 13-7 on the Haven, and as it stands, things are getting very interesting in their series up against PaperX as well. So DFM, they 2-1 Trace Esports, they took the victory, and these guys continue to impress many of us here in World Valorant. Even this I thought was interesting, right, because they took down Edward Gaming, that's the world champions, they took down RRQ, they took down Trace Esports, and now they are knocking on the door of PaperX, and well, we'll discuss how that's going here in just a couple of seconds, because as Jakeson says, right, Jake, this is the first time, because we've seen PaperX DFM, but obviously last season DFM were atrocious. This year they finally started to turn the corner, it seems, and there was genuine excitement, and for good reason, on this PRX versus DFM roster. And as it stands, things are getting very interesting indeed. By the time this video goes live, I believe this series will more than likely have come to a conclusion, but well, maybe by the end of the video, who knows, because game 1 split on PaperX's pick went 15-13 in DFM's favour. Let's not forget, this is not the grand finals, but it's the upper final. The winner of this series goes to the grand finals, with therefore the advantage for the grand finals. And DFM, they had a great job both sides. It was 7-5 to PaperX on their attacking side. They then bounced back with a 7-5 again. PRX won a key round to take it to overtime, and then DFM won the crucial attacking rounds to win the overtime. And currently on the Ascent, it's 10-8 here, right? Now, obviously, we know that we can, encounter circumstances where the defensive side can rattle off a series of rounds. So for DFM to go up, 8-4 on the first half of Ascent, and yeah, PaperX had a great start after winning the pistol, right? But you've got to think for DFM's side, right? On the split, they won both pistols, and they did win the game in overtime. On this game, they've lost both pistols, but yet they're still in a great position. And yeah, right now, DFM are up 11-8, and it looks like that's about to be 12-8. So I'll come back to this in a few minutes' time to see whether we actually have a conclusion here to this series. Because, yeah, wow, what a result that would be if DFM were to come out and 2-0 PaperX. I know that I've said to you guys over the last few days that, yeah, PaperX, I'm not convinced that sticking with their roster is going to be the best decision. I still like their team, obviously, but I definitely think that they're going to be more vulnerable this season to potential internal and external collapse. And, well, as it stands, DFM seem to be putting up a serious fight. So we'll just see how Mindfreak gets and they're getting into the site here real quick, and then we'll move on to a couple of other topics, because there is lots of discussion to be had on the Bleed Esports roster. And yeah, this run is absolutely done and dusted. They're simply just going to have to save weaponry here, going into needing several rounds in a row to even take it to overtime. Unbelievable scenes. But let's talk about Bleed Esports, because we discussed earlier the fact that they are gone. Boom Esports are in. Their organisation, honestly, from day one was in question on a certain level, right? Because these boys, I don't know where they came from. First of all, Mervyn Go and the guys over there at the executive suite, they came along with just infinite money, seemingly, from questionable sources. I don't know where that money came from, whether the sources were just crypto, or whether they were even more questionable than that. I don't necessarily think the players actually know themselves either, to be perfectly honest. However, Riot Games kicked them out of the league because after they won Ascension and they made it in, they signed Ye for a massive contract over a couple of years. It turned out they basically had no money. Well, they did maybe have money, but it was not arriving in the format that we might have expected it to, and Riot basically said, you know what, guys, you're not even getting your second year. We're just kicking you straight out of the league, because, another one of these organizations that have come and gone in esports over the last several years, Bleed being another one of them, where basically it's all smoke and mirrors, right? And that is exactly what was going on here behind the scenes. So Ye, having obviously been on that roster and experienced everything behind the scenes on that over the last couple of years, has now seen the light, as it were, and he's back to the Americas. He's likely playing for Evil Geniuses for the upcoming season, and as a result, he's in a good position to basically tell all on what has happened at Bleed over the last couple of months. So Ye even threatened to do this back in October and says, all right, guys, after they got kicked out, should I tell you what's happened with Bleed? The reason why all this happened, of course, is because they tried to sign Aspas, right? He's now gone to MIBR. They said, oh, we've got the money, we can pay for the buyout. And then players on the team were like, hang on a second, boys. How come you're paying for Aspas's buyout and yet we're not getting paid salary for the last few months? So this is what Ye discusses. A couple of things here to mention. First of all, just living in Singapore in general he thought was kind of interesting, because wherever he was living, his landlord was maybe not the friendliest, and it wasn't necessarily Ye who was meant to be paying the rent anyway. It was probably meant to be arriving from Bleed. But of course, Bleed weren't necessarily paying the rent, and Ye wasn't necessarily getting paid a salary, as the same with many of his other teams. Eventually the money would arrive, maybe because there was some massive crypto gambling going on behind the scenes. They needed to hit big in order to pay the money. I don't really know. But it was clearly a massively fraudulent, scandalous organization from top to bottom. And the idea that the CEO and the boys are at the club dropping thousands on, you know, alcohol and drinks and whatever, and yet Ye's sitting there thinking, hang on a second, I've not been paid in a couple of months, just didn't really add up. So I'm sure Ye's very happy to be out of there.
The owner of the house, because we were renting it like at the moment, the owner of the house quite literally walk in, because in Singapore, the owner, if you own the property, they can walk in. Like, it doesn't matter if you're renting or what, right? And he would walk into my bedroom at 6 a.m. when I'm like borderline naked and start demanding rent money. And he would wake up all our teammates and like everything. And he's just like, where's my rent? He would walk into my bedroom just late, like not late at night, but early in the morning, just demanding rent money. And I'm like, brother, I don't have your rent. What do you want from me? Now, what was fucked? Here, I'll tell you something that was fucked. So there was a few instances in which like, usually like on Bleed, like payments, like for just like salary and stuff like that would be delayed like 2 or 3. It started off with just 2 months, like every 2 months. Then it slowly became like 3, sometimes 4 months. There was like one teammate of mine that didn't have salary for like 5 or 6 months. I kid you not. So fucked. There was the most fucked thing is like the owner would invite us to like go clubbing, right? We would go out clubbing, right? And this guy would just start spending thousands of dollars on fucking alcohol, for like on champagne and like that sort of thing, right? He would spend thousands of dollars on champagne, all while like none of us are like have our pay or salary. Like he's just fucking, bro.
A few other things that Ye went on to mention here as well, because you know, he was talking on the obviously the first-hand account here, and he even says, I don't even know if I learned the CEO's real name, and he's just gone. I think this is a funny part as well, and many other teams of Bleed Esports, because they had teams in so many different games and esports. They basically were like, we can't even contact anyone from the C-suite, any of the executives. We can't even contact them. We don't know where they've gone. So obviously we believe he was in some sort of criminal trial recently for something. Anyway, this Mervyn Go guy who led up Bleed Esports, but we don't really know where he's gone, and it seems that many of the individuals unfortunately just weren't getting paid, and clearly an absolute disaster. I think many of us probably from day one looked at Bleed and thought, all right, that amount of money that they seem to have doesn't maybe add up, and it was probably only a matter of time until something like this happened. But fair play to Ye, because he got in. Yes, he wasn't getting paid every month all the time, but he probably did get the bag over the course of the time that he was there, and you know, he's able to come back to the Americas and likely play for Evil Geniuses for the upcoming season. So yeah, thought it was very entertaining. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comment section below. This was a nice little 1 versus 5 here with the Sheriff from Ye. So we're still expecting that Evil Geniuses announcement, right? I mean, we haven't seen anything as of yet what they're going to do. Of course, we thought that Sim was going to be on their team. Then that's not going to be true anymore. We even thought that Floor might get an opportunity. The latest rumor, of course, is that it's going to be Icy on the team, and that is one of the most disgusting clutches I think you're ever going to see. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Thanks to Corsair for supporting today's content. I just went back and looked. DFM just took the win 13-8 against Paper X. So they are in the grand finals of this year's Valorant Radiant Asia Invitational. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.